Dear Mieke Bal, we are so happy to have you in Granada today under this sunny weather in the Carmen de la Victoria after our tutoring session with the students of our summer school. And the first question for you would be to try to summarize the key points that you gave to the students during your seminar along these 3 days on essayistic creation in your work.
Okay, well, I take this off if you don't mind.
Sure.
Because my voice doesn't go well through this mask, but I'll switch back a bit. You invited me, and I was very happy because I love Spain and the Spanish academic environment and the atmosphere, and I go to Murcia a lot, and I thought, wow, Granada is, also the south of the country. And you invited me for a seminar on non-fiction. Okay, so my whole approach was to get rid of that negative non-fiction, which is establishing a hierarchy between fiction and everything else. It's also establishing vagueness because non means everything else. So I thought it was not a good term, and I wanted instead to bring in the essayistic. And that's also because of my own work, but I had just before the lockdown, I had made a film that I was invited to make on the essay film. They said, please come and make an essay film. And so I had been thinking about the essay. And I was very inspired by Adorno's essay on the essay, called The Essay as Form. And I found that fascinating, that he would call it not a genre, but a form. And I went through his text and I took all these notes, and there were like 40 or 50 different meanings of the term. And I thought, okay, instead of saying non-fiction is everything else, let's analyze what that everything else is, what is relevant for the essayistic. And so it became an issue of going with the students through their own association with the notion of essay. So I said, write down 3 words that are important for you in view of your work to think about the essay. And it was wonderful. There were 40 terms, only one was repeated once. The rest were all different. So they made their own open-ended list of what is relevant for the essay. And I wanted, before I prepared this, I wanted them to be aware of the essay as a creative force, as implied in all fiction. You cannot have fiction without the essayistic. That would be silly, uninteresting fiction. And I also wanted them to be a little, to be as aware as possible of the importance of the terminology they use and how terms are not labels to stick on things, but are interlocutors through which you can make an analysis that is not hierarchizing, that's not making the object an object, but is allowing the object to speak back. As I always say, the object speaks back. And so I wanted to do some methodological discussion also. So that was basically my approach.
Thank you. Well, some of the things that were implied in my second question have already been answered.
Oh,
but
sorry.
I would like to leave the some small, the opportunity to reflect very briefly with you on the film that the students had to watch and comment, which is It's About Time. And I'm particularly touched and interested in so many layers of meaning, of course, but above all the strength of this movie in bringing all that charge of past classical culture and discourse into a political view on what's going on now. We've learned with you some clues of how to think through creation, and at the same time, at this movie, you did such a fantastic work to talk about what's going on now and the big challenges of today. this is part of your
Thank you.
work now, and yeah.
Well, I was really happy with the opportunity to propose this film as part of the homework for the seminar, because this film, I was invited to make an essay film. And I said to the guy who invited me, I haven't thought about this issue at all. He said, well, all your films are essay films. Are they? And so I started to think about my own films, and it was amazing how stimulating that was. And so then I was happy to come and do it. And I just made it back home before the lockdown. It was a sort of anxiety moment. But what I loved about this possibility was to do something that I decided beforehand, this is important to me. So the thing about this film is that it allowed me to implement an academic obsession, which is this thing about preposterous history, time going in two directions of more or more. Time is not an arrow, it's not linear. There are all sorts of aspects to time. And so I wanted a reflection on time, bringing in Walter Benjamin with his fantastic formulations. And I wanted to do something with the idea. It's about time, we have to do something now. The world is self-destroying. It is now. And so this woman from the antiquity, who was the victim of sexual harassment on the work floor, I don't know if you know this, but Apollo gave her the gift of prophecy as a way of seducing her, and then when she didn't want to sleep with him, he cursed her that she would never be believed. Now, if I think of these school kids who are now demonstrating against the environmental climate change and this Greta Thunberg, and let them be believed. They are the future. They want a future. And so it's about time. The exclamation mark is, it's about time to do something. But without the exclamation mark, the film is about time and about this academic issue of history and what I call preposterous history, meaning this back and forth between past and present. And I was trying, I don't know how far I succeeded, but I was really trying to make those two intertwined and let Cassandra not only be concerned about the world, but also have this professorial attitude to her student, but then the student comes in dressed up as Walter Benjamin. So who is the boss here? Who is the authority? So that was another joke that I wanted to implement. So I had a lot of fun making that film, and I thought it was my conception of the essay. And so I wanted the participants to this fantastic summer school to reflect on that.
It's been terrific, believe me. And last but not least, we would like to know, how do you feel about being in such a project like this doctoral summer school in Granada University, your first visit to Granada University, and the fact that you're doing this year, traveling from Amsterdam to Malaga, then to Granada in the middle of this apparent apocalypse, but we are here together thinking, speaking to each other.
And for me it was so important to actually come, to not do it on Zoom. With all respect and admiration for the technology, I find it very monologic. I don't see the dialogic quality, the interaction that I love so much about working with PhD candidates and the people who have the future of our work, and that I want to support in that, conquering that future. So for me it was a wonderful experience. I know I was taking a risk. I'm in the risk age group. I was taking a risk, and I thought, well, I won't have politics instill fear in me. I think that's a political issue, this forcing you to be fearful. Of course I'm nervous about it, but I'm not paranoid. I think if we take the distance, we wear the mask where we can, and I am convinced that I will survive this. And I was very happy to come to this beautiful city that has such a history, and especially a history of intercultural contact between the so-called Moors and the Christians. And for me that is a very important issue of today. I have been making films about migration, and about this interaction between people from different cultures. And I developed the concept of migratory aesthetics to say it's not about migrants. We are all in a migratory civilization, a migratory context, culture, and we have to interact in that culture. So for me, it's really fantastic to be in Granada, of all places. And then discover all these wonderful scholars and have new friends, intellectual friends. For me, that's the most important group of people, intellectual friends.
Thank you so much, dear Mieke Bal. As your character in That's About Time, Cassandra ends saying through Christa Wolf's voice, between killing and dying, there's a third option, which is living.
Living.
And we had such a great lesson of thinking through living, thanks to you these days.
It was a pleasure. I have to shout, otherwise you don't hear me.
Sure, thank you very much.
Okay.